Okay, guys, just to clarify, I'm not here to talk about UA or retention, even though that's awesome. And I'm also obviously not an awesome panel of people from Chartboost and Mega Cool and all that. We had a bit of a mishap or misunderstanding, whatever you want to call it, about the scheduling. So here I am. I was supposed to be yesterday, but now I'm here. However, I've adjusted my presentation, so this is going to be short and sweet. So, to give you more time with the awesome panel. So what I'm going to talk about, though, is originally the good, the bad, and the ugly about user monetization, especially on the ad side. So I cut that down to kind of talk instead about really briefly about ad monetization history and how we got to where we are right now, which is basically header bidding. And I want to explain header bidding in a really simple way. That's the purpose of this presentation, and I don't think it's going to be 20 minutes. I'm sure you can kick it off, Mike, in maybe 10 or so, because that's cool. But please interrupt me with questions. I'll make this very simple. So if it's too simple, then bear with me. But if not, then that's great. And do interrupt me with questions. I'm fine taking it during the time as well. Cool. I'll just kick it off then. Really brief on me. I'm VP of EMEA for Chartboost. I've been doing that for about 4 years. I've been in the industry, web gaming, all that stuff in about a decade. I work with Chartboost, and those who doesn't know that, it's one of the biggest mobile ad networks for games. We integrate in 300,000 apps and almost 1 billion uniques monthly. So the agenda today is about ad monetization in the beginning, how it started. Then waterfall and mediation. I'm going to touch on really quickly why that happened and what kind of problem it solved. And then I'm going to talk about header bidding and programmatic ad buying. And then compare the two, mediation versus header bidding. Great. So in the beginning, it was really easy. And in the beginning, I'm talking about like 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago when mobile advertising really started. You had a game. You integrated a network. You gave them an ad request, they served an ad, you get a pretty good CPM, and they filled decently in the US on iOS, kind of thing. Very simple way to just monetize if you don't have IAP, right? A few networks started, Chartboost was one of them, there were very few networks out there was not that many to choose from, and all that. Everything was easy, you didn't make that much money, but you made some money, right? Then the ad network industry proved to be a very good, healthy, solid industry, which always attracts newcomers, right? So a lot of other networks started. So we had ad network 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7, 8, 9, 10. And they all served different ads, obviously, and at different price. So some had a really good AVG is average, by the way. Average CPM of, let's say, 3, another had 4 and 1, and the first one, again, filled 60%, the second one filled maybe only 20. But you didn't have a way to really combine this really well. You couldn't really maximize this, right? What you want to do, obviously, is you want to bring all the networks in, and you want to choose the one who pays the most, and then always fill every request that you have. Now, obviously, there was a solution for this, and it was called, and still is, mediation. So what a mediation does, and this, again, super simplified, it takes all the networks that we have or that you want to use, and you basically serve always the first impression to the one network you put first in the waterfall. So what usually happens is that in the waterfall, you take the best paying ad network on average CPM, and that's quite important, average CPM, not like CPM for every impression, but average CPM. You put that first. And whenever that network can fill, it fills. So, you do ad network 2, and then, and until it can not fill no more, or you don't want to give it the second impression as well, then it goes to the second network and then the third. And obviously, this solved the problem that now really easily you can integrate all the networks that you want, right? Some big companies made their own mediation, and others, outsourced it or put in a mediation platform in the games. And then you can integrate all the ad networks you want. You can benefit from, different CPMs and make sure you always have the best one, well, on average on top, right? Brought a lot of problems, though, as well. The main problem was that, you didn't always serve the best paying impression. And I'll try to illustrate here that. And let's say that we have this setup, waterfall. You have the mediation, you have the different ad networks. That's how the waterfall is set up, right? Ad network 2 pays the best, usually, so they get to be in the first position. So you get one impression, impression 1. And ad network 2, great, they had, they had an impression worth 5 $5 CPM, they get served, you made $5 on 1,000 impressions. However, let's say then that impression number 2 comes. Whole different impression. Ad network 2 is still at the top, obviously. So that ad is going to be served. Value $3 CPM. Better here would obviously would have been to show ad network 1, right? However, it's not until we get to another impression where actually ad network 2 doesn't have an ad that ad network 1 gets to serve an ad. And yet again, in this instance, it's still not the best one, right? So, you get what I mean, right? I mean, it's not optimized, basically. So the hypothetical best solution, obviously, for this would have been to show the impression that pays the most all the time, right? Now, how do you do that? And one solution to solve this is through header bidding. So that's kind of, we start out with a problem, we solve it with mediation, it created another problem that we're now solving header bidding. And header bidding, sure everyone has heard about it, it's a buzzword of 2018, all that stuff. And what is it really? And I'm not explaining it with these 3 very simple sentences by any means, I'm not saying that, but to me it's really about real-time bidding. So every network always bids on every impression. So it's not like it automatically goes to one network, but it's actually bidding in real time, which then enables the publisher to always monetize with the highest bidder, always. That's the plan. And the name, even though it doesn't make much sense in a mobile game, it comes from somewhere, and it's been around in the web for like 15 years or so. So on the web, header bidding is very common, and the reason it's called header bidding was because the bidding functionality was embedded in the header of a page, of a web page, basically. So header bidding as a word doesn't make any sense, but it's kind of that's the functionality, and hence the name. Any questions so far? Or no? Okay. Cool. So that's header bidding, and if we want to explain it really simplified again, you have your your game, you send the ad request. Now you have another platform or solution that I just call header bidding here for simplicity, and there all the networks then compete in real time. And whoever has the highest bid gets to serve the ad. And as you can see, if you have 2 different impressions, it doesn't matter. You don't have a waterfall anymore. You just pick the best one you have, right? So to summarize, before I'm going to hand over to Mike in this awesome panel that I'm going to look forward to listening to as well, this is the main difference between mediation and header bidding. You have the waterfall in mediation. It's inefficient in terms of CPM optimization because you always will serve the ad network in the top. Header bidding is efficient because it will always serve the highest bidder of all networks you have. Now, there are a bunch of other stuff as well, in terms of like SDK integration and all that kind of stuff, and also control. You give away control if you have a third-party mediation. You don't do that with header bidding necessarily. And there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of nuances to this. There's a lot of technology that's very different, all that stuff. But to me, this is the main difference. It's really about CPM optimization. That's what header bidding is about. Thank you. Any questions? Yes?
What are the revenue effects of this optimization?
So I don't know if you heard, but the question was, what are the revenue effects of this optimization? That's a great question, first of all. It's very early to say that yet, because header bidding is still in its infancy. Not that many companies have it. I think no one really has it on mobile game in its fully implemented. There are a few solutions out there today. But I would say 20–30% is probably a good estimation of the impact of it.
Thank you very much, Johan. Also, one of the questions that usually comes up when I talk about header bidding versus waterfall is how much of a load does that put on the game, and does it really slow things down when you're actually requesting bids, and are the bids getting in fast enough to actually go ahead and render the ad? And from what I know, you've got a pretty fast system, and it's not really adding any material delay at all, considering that you can actually pre-stage the auction and preload the ad, just like we always have with waterfall bidding. Is that true?
That's true, yeah. I mean, it depends on what technical solution you choose, but a lot of the header bidding solutions actually require an integration of the ad network's SDKs anywhere, which usually pre-cache ads, and then you can serve them immediately. But there are other solutions with header bidding where you don't have pre-integrated SDKs, though, which obviously is good for the game because it give the game will. You can reduce the file size by a lot of megabytes, right? But then you could have some delays in some countries. But the technology now, in general, is so much better than a few years ago that you can basically stream in real time also. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not here to promote Chartboost, but we stream a lot of our videos in real time. Now we don't necessarily pre-cache because our streaming services are so fast, and with good CDN, global CDN networks, you can actually do that. So in terms of load time, if there's any delay caused by header bidding today, that at least should be gone in a few years, definitely. And it has the opportunity also to have a lower lower file size as well, as an ad monetization solution.
Fantastic. Johan, thank you very much.